a beautiful quote and unquote forest. I said quote and unquote. And as far as your eyes can see, the place is so covered with vegetation. But, there's a big but, we didn't have water. I thought if we plant trees, we will have water. One day in 2000, there was just no water spilling out in the Tigum River and in the dam of the Metro Iloilo Water District. And we went there. As I entered the canteen, or the small sari-sari store where we used to eat when we did community organizing in the area, the old man told me, and he said, Manay Jess, because that is my name, a radio name. I have this radio program, Ugats and Tubig, where we campaigned for people to get involved in this activity. And he told me, Manay Jess, you know, I never stopped listening to your program. I always tune in to the radio every Sunday. But look, what happened to us? We don't have water. In fact, I gave up my farm in the Maasin watershed so that trees will be planted up there. But we didn't have water. But we can observe that in this 33-year-old plantation of mahogany trees, there are no undergrowth. That's the newly planted plantation, reforestation, and the same story. You just have the dry leaves, and the creeks are dry, fish ponds are dry, waterfalls dry, and there was a swamp that animals were afraid to go to in the past because they know that when they get into it, they sink into it, they cannot be taken out. It was so deep, the swamp. And it's all dry, we were there. But what remained were the trees that used to be the witness to the swamp. Look at the Tigum River, and look at the weir of the water district. So there was a problem. Again, there was a time when I mobilized the formation of the Iloilo Watershed Management Council and the Tigum Aganan Watershed Management Board. Why Tigum Aganan? That is the whole watershed. If you're in Metro Manila, you have the Angat Watershed. We have Tigum Aganan Watershed. And two rivers drain water from this watershed, the Tigum River and the Aganan River. And these two rivers meet, and with the Salog River coming down to Iloilo City and to the Visayas Sea. The Watershed Management Board discussed the problem. We do not have water, storage of water. Water is supposed to reside in the soils in the true forest, or in the protection forest, or in the old growth forest. But you look at the old growth forest in our, this is the Maasin watershed, and this is the old growth forest. This is the Tigum Aganan watershed going down to Iloilo City. Only 2% forest in Iloilo, 7% for the whole island of Panay. The rest is called the production forest. Production forest is where we plant Gmelina, mahogany, forest that can give livelihood, you cut and then sell. But for protection forest, trees should stay. There should be biodiversity. You don't only plant trees, you allow other flora and fauna to grow. You allow insects to crawl. And you give them food, like fallen leaves, fallen twigs, so that there will be water and soil. Then we also looked at our groundwater. And, well, it was difficult to make a study on groundwater, so what we did was to get into secondary materials, and there was a study made by the Japanese and also by a Swiss company, and the Japanese said that we have been using our groundwater in an unsustainable way. That's why there are some areas where there is subsidence, and there are some areas where saltwater intrusion is very clear. So we came up with the rainwater harvesting program funded by the United Nations Environment Program based in the headquarters in Kenya. We created demonstration areas, the one in stars. Now this is the whole Tigum Aganan watershed. This color, this is the Maasin town, this is Alimujan town. We have a little bit of Leon, and then Santa Barbara. We have Pavia, Cabatuan, Santa Barbara, Pavia, Oton, and the Iloilo City. That's why when in the watershed we say that water respects no political boundaries. So there must be a group to study how water is affected or how people affect the water and how land use is affecting water in the whole plain so that we can make suggestions to the local government unit. They are the ones implementing projects and including our rainwater harvesting program in their AIP, Annual Investment Plan. So they get funded. So that's how we began the rainwater harvesting program. Here are examples of rainwater harvesting program in the farms. A pond, that's rice terraces. These are plots with 1 meter deep, 1 meter deep dug out, so that the water can stay when it's flooding. The water just can stay in between. And when it's drought, we assume that water has seeped into the soil, or water is kept in the soil, and there's still some left for plants to grow. And there could also be a detention pond. That's an example of one. And this is interesting. You know, rainwater harvesting is a traditional technology. Filipinos in the past, not only Filipinos, Asian, and even other countries have been using rainwater harvesting. It's just that we lost the technology when the new irrigation, the centralized water distribution system was introduced to us. So we look at Camilo Sacupon. He has a tank with a volume of 1,250 cubic meter, and a small tank. We call that a daughter tank. And because of rainwater harvesting, he was able to double his crop yield. And so with Andres Calfoforo, they are the winners. You know, when we started mobilizing, we did not teach them or tell them what to do. What we did was we came up with a program, a search for the best practice in conservation of rainwater and in the farm. And so these were the winners, the first and the second. Now take a look. The average yield per hectare for NIA irrigated farm is 3.3 tons. And those with rainwater harvesting devices, they have reached that level. But it cost our government 250,000 to deliver water to 1 hectare. That already includes building dams and building canals and all the infrastructure. But to construct just a simple dam, you can have 10,000, 20,000 pesos. Our government has been promoting the SFR, Small Farm Reservoir, but it's small. It's 10 by 30, I think, and the volume is only about 45 tons. So what's cubic meters? What is 45 cubic meters compared with 1,250 cubic meters? The 45 cubic meters could help gardens, vegetables, and that is very helpful. Farmers can also have fish, ducks, no, in the ponds, meaning extra income. Aside from the usefulness of rainwater harvesting in the farm, we also have introduced some catchment or storage for the household, and we constructed some ferrocement tanks. Actually, you can use even just a barrel. By the way, we have a rain barrel program supported by the Coca-Cola Foundation, and these rainwater tanks is also